Starter Pokemon are iconic. They're the first Pokemon we get when we just start playing the game, and so it's not surprising they're some of the most popular and well-liked Pokemon. But me being me, I always wondered something. Which starter is the best? Now, truth is, we can define the best in many different ways. And for me, one of the most important ways is which starter can get through the game by itself the fastest. I mean, honestly, this is the way I played through Red and Blue as a kid with just my Squirtle to Blastoise Axe. I have no idea why I named it that, by the way, but I remember very distinctly naming it Axe, AX. And back then we lived in much simpler times. There was just one water starter. Now there's 9, but for our purposes, we're going to look at what I think are the most iconic. The 3 first water starters, Squirtle, Mudkip, and Totodile. We're also going to be using FireRed LeafGreen because, hey, we love Kanto on this channel. Which one of these Pokemon is going to be able to beat the game the fastest? We're going to measure this both in terms of level and in-game time. And while, yes, I do this a lot in Generation 1, FireRed and LeafGreen are very, very different, and we'll talk a lot about how different they are and how it really matters, but suffice to say they are much trickier games. The rules for the challenge are simple. We're going to use a code to modify our starter, unless we don't have to because it's a Kanto starter. But in this challenge, we're going to be using Totodile, the Johto starter. My Twitch chat shows that as first, so that's what we're going to be using. And unlike most of my challenges, we're going to allow Totodile to evolve into Feraligatr. Like always, no items in battle, no trading, no glitches. But otherwise, how quickly can Totodile make it through FireRed LeafGreen? Where will it rank among the 9 starters? Well, you'll have to keep watching to find out now, won't you? Now, although we are starting with a Totodile, it is probably easiest to show both the base stats and movesets of Feraligatr, because it will be Feraligatr for the most of this run. In terms of stats, Feraligatr circa Gen 3 is not the best. It is a physical attacking Pokemon whose primary type is a special attack. In Gen 4 and beyond, we could take advantage of physical water moves like Waterfall or Aqua Tail, but here we're going to have to use our inferior special attack when we use moves like Surf or Ice Beam or Blizzard. In terms of moves, there's also a really big problem that the other water starters don't have. Totodile was never meant to be a beginning starter in Gen 3, and so even though it gets a bit of an updated moveset, they didn't move up when you learn Water Gun. In Generation 2, where you fight Falconer, this really doesn't matter, but for us, it's going to matter immensely because Brock is going to require Water Gun. Now, in FireRed and LeafGreen, there are 2 additional bug catchers that aren't in Red and Blue, which is quite good, but unfortunately, because we learn it all the way at level 13, they won't be enough. And if you wondered, well, can Totodile beat them without Water Gun? I tried battling Camper Liam, who is much easier than Brock, with Rage, a move that does power up, and you can see, I simply just don't have enough HP. Rage is kind of overpowered in the early game. Weird thing to say if you come from Generation 1, but it's true. But sadly, we're going to need to level up all the way to level 13, so right off the bat, Totodile is going to have a pretty big disadvantage relative to some of the other Pokemon we're going to be using. But first, a big thank you to today's sponsor, Boot.dev. I've been using Boot.dev for over a year now, and I'm almost finished the Python course, which is really cool. I'm going to move on to Go next. You can see Boot.dev has tons of courses in different languages and some projects that I want to work on. But for now, I'm finishing Python, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes I take a month off, I haven't used the site in a while, and I forget stuff. But luckily, Boot.dev has their AI Boots that's really good at not giving me the answer, but helping me remember the previous lessons and thus getting to the answer by myself. But occasionally, when I've taken a long break and I'm just not figuring it out, I do find it helpful to look at the solution, see exactly where I was going wrong, and then use that for the future exercises. Unfortunately, if you do that, you lose out on experience points because Boot.dev, they understand that making it like a game is super addictive, but that's just one of the many great things about Boot.dev. Now, while you can browse all the courses for free, but if you really want to master back-end web development, you're going to want to do the exercises, And if you want to do that, you can go to boot.dev or just click the link in the description. And you can use my code JROS11 to get 25% off your entire first year of the annual plan. I save in front of Brock at 29 minutes, so roughly about 15 minutes of disadvantage. But of course, at level 13, Totodile is going to absolutely destroy both Geodude and Onix. The Onix this time has Rock Tomb, which might be a problem for my fire Pokemon when I use them. But now I don't have to worry. Totodile gets through Brock easily, and we get the Boulder Badge. Or not. Wait, why are we resetting? Well, this is something that I've played enough Red and Blue and done enough solo runs to think about extra battles and how they can speed things up. I actually forgot to battle Camper Liam before Brock. Now I want Water Gun for Liam as well, because his Geodude it saves so much time. And you can see with a minute of in-game time, we have gained levels, and this is actually especially important for Totodile, because Totodile, weirdly enough, doesn't evolve at level 16, but rather evolves very late at level 18. It'll make up for this by evolving into Feraligatr really early, which should help it relative to the other starters, but evolving late into Croconaw is going to suck a little bit, especially if we don't have Croconaw for either Misty or Rival 2. Now, as I mentioned early on, there are important differences from Red and Blue. The difference I'm showing off here are the move tutors, including the ability to get a 120 base power attack in Mega Kick. I mean, it's 75% accurate, but that's crazy. I also teach Mega Punch because, well, why not? These move tutors are unique to FireRed and LeafGreen, and the moves and TMs you're used to me getting, some of them like Dig will be in the same spot, but others like Earthquake, Body Slam, etc., they've moved or are unavailable. At least not until the post-game, which doesn't help us. It's also important to note that there are berries on the ground, not on this route, but I'll show off the various berries we get, and the rare candies are in slightly different locations. These are all adjustments I have to make, and hopefully they don't mess me up when I go and play Red and Blue again, because I've been playing a lot of FireRed and LeafGreen, and I've been having a lot of fun. Another difference as we enter Misty's gym, which might interest you, this trainer, which is mandatory, can be skipped. Her line of sight is different, and we can just battle Misty from the side. Now, I'm assuming just using Mega Kick should be good, right? Well, Staryu outspeeds, and now Mega Kick doesn't one-shot. It goes for Water Pulse, and unfortunately, Water Pulse does have a 20% chance of confusing me. There is a way around this, however, which is why I brought up the berries, and sadly, I'm not able to get a hit against Starmie, and I have to reset. This was another instance where an extra battle really helped me out. I battled the now non-mandatory trainer in Misty's gym to level up a little bit more. Now, Mega Kick will knock out Staryu, but more importantly, remember those berries I was talking about? Well, you get a Persimberry just outside of Mount Moon, and that Persimberry stopped me from being confused. I also run out of power points on Mega Kick, which is super annoying, but Mega Punch picks up the slack. I also get really lucky I didn't miss. Bite may have been useful, but I thought it might be easier to defeat Misty first for two reasons. One, I'm a water type, and two, now I don't have to rely on not a great move in Water Gun, but a much superior move in Water Pulse. It's a little weaker than Bubble Beam, but Confusion is a bit of a better secondary effect than lowering speed, so I'll allow it. Rival 2 in FireRed LeafGreen is just as annoying as in Red and Blue, and I get sand attacked right away. And of course I miss, but you can see how important it was to have Croconaw here. It tanks it really well. And then we get a Mega Kick on Bulbasaur, which is insane that we actually hit that. Now I'm pretty safe for the rest of the battle. Water Pulse even one-shots Rattata, and Croconaw just obliterated Rival 2, and there really isn't anything super scary in this section of the game. There's also not anything super different. Some of the trainers' Pokemon have been swapped out a little bit, but I do breeze through this section, and we can make our way to the SSN, where there's another important change that I should just get out of the way now, because I know my longtime viewers are going to wonder about Body Slam. One of the best moves in Red and Blue is not available to me before the post game. What is in the location of Body Slam? Well, it's still a really good move, arguably maybe even a better move, Brick Break. It is 75 base power, but a fighting move, which in some cases can be really helpful against rock Pokemon. Of course, for good old Croconaw, it doesn't help too much, but it might make Raticate a little bit easier. Alright, so against Rival 3, he leads with Pidgeotto. We're at level 27, Mega Kick now one-shots, which is great. Against Ivysaur, I go for Mega Kick. It doesn't one-shot, and we get a really clutch Sleep Powder miss. That's 2 down. Croconaw's doing really well, and it's almost a Feraligatr. Then Brick Break will one-shot Raticate. We're only 2 levels away. Don't need Scary Face, we can get rid of that. And then Kadabra, I'm just going to go for... let's go for Dig. Disable is fine. Dig takes 2 turns, but Mega Kick could have missed. And there we go. We have beaten Rival 3, and if I can somehow get to level 30 without wasting too much time, perhaps we can battle Surge now. A level 30 Feraligatr could be good enough. You'll also notice I have the Lonely Nature, so I'm not lowering my attack or special attack. There is a guy... let's see what happens. I'm gonna battle some trainers, maybe reset a little bit, see if it works, and we'll pick it back up at Surge. Sadly, without wasting too much time, I couldn't really get Feraligatr. I got really close, but we do outspeed Voltorb at level 29. Actually, it looks like it's a speed tie, and we knock it out with Dig. This Dig is only 60 base power, so it's significantly less good than its counterpart in Red and Blue, but Raichu is also significantly worse, no longer having Thunderbolt, but only Shockwave. Of course, if it never uses it, it really doesn't matter. And Croconaw is actually able to beat Lieutenant Surge, which saves quite a bit of time. It means we don't have to backtrack, and we can use Fly immediately. And we get our Feraligatr for Rock Tunnel and, well, not really Erica. Things are going really, really well so far, but is it gonna last forever? I don't know. We're gonna pick things back up in the Rocket Game Corner, which has differences, but they're not important for our purposes. It's still Onix, followed by Rhyhorn, followed by Kangaskhan, and Water Pulse for Alligator is more than good enough. We also still have good old Brick Break. In fact, you'll see we have the same moveset with one change. Dig actually was only used for Lieutenant Surge. To deal with the grass Pokemon, I taught Aerial Ace, which is conveniently located just to the east of Cerulean City. You'll also notice I use an escape rope to dig out quickly, which is great. So now we have a moveset of Water Pulse, Brick Break, Mega Kick, and Aerial Ace. It's looking good, but there's actually something else I might want. But before I talk about that, we should talk about another massive change. In FireRed and LeafGreen, it's actually completely optional to ever enter the Celadon Mart. You need to enter it in Red and Blue to get the drink to give the guard, but they've moved that to the T. I actually made a whole video on that. But what's important is that the vending machine TMs, or the ones you give the girl to give you TMs, are now Light Screen, Reflect, and Safeguard, not Ice Beam, Rock Slide, and Tri Attack. Where are those? Well, Ice Beam is in the game corner, which is really expensive, and Rock Slide I actually left accidentally. This is a good time to mention that this is my first solo run in FireRed and LeafGreen where I'm trying to go fast, and some Pokemon had to be the first. So I tried to, like in soccer or football for you Europeans, we're going to kind of do a stoppage time thing where when I have to backtrack and I've made a mistake, which happened a few times in the run, I'm just going to deduct it from the in-game timer at the end. I was hoping it wouldn't make too big a difference, but mistakes like forgetting Rock Slide as well as some rare candies impacted the run a little bit more than I'd like, but don't worry, we'll account for that at the end. Alright, so now that we've taught the move tutor for Rock Slide, we're ready to take on Rival 4, and you can see Rock Slide's pretty helpful. We one-shot Pidgeotto, which is pretty good. Ivysaur, we're going to go for Aerial Ace, which one-shots, although the crit may matter, I'm not sure. What does matter is that Rival 2 has a Gyarados, which has its ability Intimidate, so we only do 2/3 of what we should do, which means it survives, and then it has a Growlithe. So in these water runs, we're going to have to deal with the fact that potentially, depending on the order the rival sends out his Pokemon, we might be doing just 2/3 or even half of the damage we normally would do. And this especially sucks for a physical attacker like FireRed. And yeah, I think it's going to make things complicated later. This is the first battle where it was important, but it's going to matter a lot. At least I think it will. After the battle tower, we're going to go and wake up Snorlax. Now, this is something that people get wrong. Snorlax does not hold leftovers in this game. It holds a Chesto Berry. I know every run I don't mention this, people are going to say, why not use leftovers? Because you can't. I mean, you can, but you have to waste time and catch 30 Pokemon. FireRed doesn't count towards the Kanto Dex. So, for that reason, leftovers, while very useful, will be a last resort for us. And yeah, it just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. There are very few useful items that we have to equip our Pokemon. They're either locked behind the game corner, which takes a bunch of time, or they're just not available or leftovers. So very sadly, we're going to be sticking with berries or nothing for most of the run. Anyway, skipping ahead, I went and got Surf, and rather than battling Koga right away, I decided to go and battle rival Fievel. So he leads with Pidgeot. FireRed is now only 2 levels higher. Of course, I get a Rock Slide miss, and does a decent amount. Okay, this is fine. We'll knock it out with Surf. Next coming out is Venusaur. We expected this. Aerial Ace. Oh, well, that is a useful crit. So would have done around half. Then we get our first Intimidate via Gyarados. Rock Slide is going to be a 3-shot. Bite. I'm going to go Aerial Ace. Try to make sure it doesn't heal. Rock Slide knocks it out. And we're at 39 HP. This is very important because we're going to go for Surf against Growlithe. And then against Alakazam, we are in what's called Torrent range. What the heck does that mean? Well, to my Gen 1 and 2 fans out there, in Gen 3 they added abilities. We've been seeing Intimidate, but the starters all have the same ability. When you get to 1/3 of your HP or lower, moves of your type are boosted by 50%. This is massive and is something we're going to have to use to our advantage throughout the run by managing our HP. Kind of like Badge Boost glitch in Red and Blue, except this is totally intended and we have to manage our HP as opposed to our experience points. So quite a bit more strategic and really fun. Unfortunately, as you're going to see, this is a little bit easier said than done. In the Giovanni 2 battle, we don't one-shot even Nidoqueen. And this is because our special attack is just so low. And then I decided to go for Brick Break against Kangaskhan. That was probably a mistake. In this battle, however, it seems like it's a range to knock out Nidoqueen, and I'm going to use Surf against Kangaskhan. However, it still doesn't knock it out. We are tanky enough to be able to tank a Mega Punch, but barely. And so this is the give and take of being in Torrent range. If you don't knock something out, you're at such low health that almost any move will knock you out. And the Pokemon in this game, I don't know why I'm getting a Master Ball here, but the Pokemon in this game have much better moves than you're used to in Red and Blue. Now, something else that is different is that Earthquake is not located in Sylph Company anymore. It's the prize for beating Giovanni. In theory, this would be really bad for Koga because Earthquake would be a great move to use against poison Pokemon. In practice, Earthquake is actually kind of useless against Koga. First, I have to actually battle Erica. Haven't battled her yet, and it's important, but at level 42, Aerial Ace, a mere 60 base power flying move, one-shots all of her Pokemon. You might be wondering why I'm not using Ice Beam, and it's sadly because Ice Beam requires, I believe it's 4,000 coins, which is prohibitively expensive and time-consuming, and would cost all the money I use on vitamins and repels and all these things that make my playthrough faster. So if totally needed, I could get it, but Blizzard is still available for free, but in the Pokemon Mansion. Anyway, we were talking about Koga before I got rudely interrupted by Erica, and as we save here, you can see just under 3 hours. Ugh. Also, trainers in FireRed LeafGreen can move around, wiggle around. They're known as spinners. Very irritating. It's just a fact of most modern Pokemon games. Although Scarlet and Violet, there's pretty much no mandatory trainers, so that's kind of fun. Alright, so against Koga, I really don't have anything better than just using Surf. We do get the knockout of Coughing. Their defense is way better than their special defense. Muck, however, is annoying and goes for Minimize. and then we get poisoned. And unlike Gen 2 and Gen 1, which are weird about healing, Muck can heal. We get a really clutch critical hit here. There actually could have been a better strat. There's a couple things I could do better, and we still might lose. The final Weezing will never go for self-destruct if it's the final Pokemon, and it does go for Smokescreen. If we hit, we win, and okay, first try victory, not bad. We could have equipped the Pecha Berry. I do have one. I believe you even saw me get it from the SS Ann's garbage cans. Also, just gonna try to avoid using full restore and make it out of here before my Feraligatr faints. Hopefully I can do that, but I don't think so. 5. Actually, you know what? Let's see. This is actually interesting. Can I make it to the Pokemon Center? I just have to go fly here, and then... Hey, look at that! I'm a good walker. Anyway, that's 5 gym badges, and we're going to go... The rare candy is still here. We're going to go get strength. I often forget to do that, which is really bad. And speaking of really bad, I make another mistake coming up. We're getting towards the end game, and I wasn't sure how difficult it would be. I save in front of Blaine, but I hadn't battled a single trainer in his gym. Blaine himself is predictably very easy. We're just going to go for Surf. We knock out Growlithe. I mean, it looks like Feraligator's special attack isn't so bad, but we haven't faced the very best Pokemon yet. We're still facing relatively not great ones. Rapidash we one-shot, but I doubt we'll one-shot Arcanine. It really doesn't have anything great against me. Oh, actually, we almost do one-shot it. It doesn't have Blaze, thankfully. It has Intimidate, which sucks, but we're able to, eventually, after all these Hyper Potions, which aren't retroactive, because he's using them at the proper time, not knowing how much damage I'll do, like... I mean, I know the computer just reacts based on what you do, but imagine it were another person. It's like, oh, I know you're going to do so much damage. Sorry, one thing I'll also say is you can say no to Bill here. This is when typically players would go to the Sevi Islands. You may not know, you can just tell Bill no. He'll sit down and just wait there. You do not want to go to the Sevi Islands. There is nothing good there. There are some move tutors, but not available in Islands 1, 2, and 3, which is what you have access to. And once you start the Sevi Islands side quest, that was a tongue twister, you cannot stop it to go back. You have to complete it, and that takes a while. Probably could have battled Sabrina a little while ago. I don't exactly know why I left her. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. Kadabra is not too great. Don't forget, in these games, they have special defense as opposed to just special, so they're not nearly as defensively bulky as they are in Red and Blue. They actually, I mean, I'm using physical attacks, but they actually are vulnerable. I should have just used Aerial Ace there, but it does one-shot, and then Alakazam, I go for Rock Slide. Doesn't quite knock it out. Sabrina's going to use Hyper Potion. I go for Aerial Ace, and then it's going to Hyper Potion. Aerial Ace. Psychic does a lot after that Calm Mind, but we are good, and we are ready to fight Giovanni. But then the real fun is going to begin. By the way, 320, considering we had to waste all that time to get Totodile and some backtracking, is insanely good. Feraligatr has been incredible so far. It's fast, it hits hard. I mean, thus far, it can't be stopped. But sadly, unlike Giovanni and the rest of the gym leaders, the Elite Four, even, well, probably not on this run, but even Bruno can get wins off me. The teams are vastly improved. The movesets are vastly improved. And for that reason, I may be a little underleveled. I have 9 rare candies. There's actually one more that I've missed that is in a completely different location than it is in Gen 1, which is why I didn't know where it was. After this run, I would have the locations memorized, and I'm going to try not to use them right here, but this may be a moment where I have to. Let's see. So, Feraligatr is still 2 levels higher, and Rock Slide, ooh, nice flinch. Aerial Ace knocks it out. Great. Venusaur, we go for Aerial Ace. Okay, it's a 3-shot. Growth, not great. It's going to heal here. Okay, wait, it heals with Synthesis. Okay, this could actually... No, Synthesis again. Aerial Ace, Sweet Scent. Wow, weird. Aerial Ace. Okay, well, Venusaur just threw. Not sure why I did that. Surf's going to one-shot Rhyhorn. Easy peasy. Next out is Gyarados. So we're -1. I go for Rock Slide. Ooh, nice crit. Crits hit through the Intimidate. So I'm just doing a regular 2 times damage, which is awesome. We're now -2 in attack, so we're doing 50%. Surf gets disabled, which is very annoying. Calm Mind, I go for Rock Slide. It does very little. And then it disables Rock Slide. I go for Surf. It goes for Psychic. I am in Torrent range. It didn't matter. First try victory. At this point, you're probably thinking, gee, Jaros, nothing can stop good old Feraligatr. It is too good. Oh, I also make a mistake here. To the left, wait 1 second. To the left of here, right there, you can see it kinda if we pause it. That's a Lepa Berry. Berries do not respawn in this game, and Ethers and Elixirs are far more difficult to get. I have a really good Ether Elixir route with backups in red and blue and yellow, but FireRed and LeafGreen, they're way more out of the way, so you really have to know the close ones, and I didn't know this. Also, if we unpause, right before Victory Road, there's actually a Citrus Berry that I didn't know about either. These are mistakes. I don't like pointing out my mistakes, but I think it's important so that people know when I end up making my adjustment, all the reasons it needed to be made. I did make lots of preventable errors just because I was streaming, I wasn't able to do this offline, and kind of decided to do this on a whim. Anyway, enough joking around. Lauralee. I don't use the rare candy, so I'm actually underleveled. Brick Break does about half, Dugong goes for Surf, and we're able to knock it out. The crit may or may not have mattered. The next Pokemon to come out is Cloyster, very Gen 1. So I go for Surf because its physical defense is so good. It does around the same as Brick Break. It goes for Hail, and then it heals. I think if the Pokemon has 25% or less, they'll heal. Don't quote me on that. Also, I don't know why it switches sometimes. This is inconsistent, and it's weird that our first battle we get it. So I swap between Rock Slide and Brick Break. They are the same base power, but Brick Break is 100% accurate, yet Rock Slide can flinch. We actually get really lucky with Lapras' Citrus Berry, taking it out of healing range. And then Cloyster comes out, the Hail is stopped. Brick Break does not break through Protect, sadly. Actually, does it even have another? No, it doesn't actually have another potion. So we're fine. Although we are running out of HP, and we still have Slowbro left and Jinx left. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to do versus Slowbro. I try Surf, but yeah. I think this kind of shows that we're not going to get through this underleveled. FireRed and LeafGreen just aren't a joke the way Red and Blue were. We can't just manipulate AI and try to get it to use bad moves. The movesets are actually respectable. So being a little bit higher and going 1v5 is perfectly reasonable. I'm also not going to teach Hydro Pump. I know it's powerful, but the 20% miss chance combined with the fact it has 5 power points, and I can't delete Surf right now. I mean, I could if I went back to Fuchsia, but it's not what I want. Anyway, at level 60, we go for Brick Break, and it puts Dugong in healing range. Hail is kind of annoying because that's 5/16 I'm going to lose eventually. 1/16, 5 turns. We knock out Dugong with 160 remaining. Cloyster comes out. This Cloyster, by the way, has Protect, Dive, Spikes, and Hail. It really sucks. And we're able to knock it out really easily with 2 Brick Breaks. Now Slowbro comes out. I go for Rock Slide. It goes for Yawn. And this is a problem because I'm going to fall asleep. I mean, if it keeps going for Yawn, it's not a problem. Actually, doesn't do that much. And we knock it out without healing, which is pretty good. Jinx, we one-shot with Rock Slide. Actually, this might be a little bit okay. Let's just see. I'm going to go Brick Break on Lapras. Perfect. Body Slam, no paralysis. Easy. Easy. Okay. Lauralee, not so bad. And I don't think Bruno will be either. Between Surf and... Oh, where's my potions? Please say I remembered. Yay, there they are. So between Surf and maybe Aerial Ace, we should be fine. By the way, in these challenges, I will not be saving between Elite Four members because these are speed challenges. In those, we are not allowed to save in order to not just save scum for very inconsistent strats. I'm allowed to do it before, but the Elite Four are special. Anyway, we one-shot the Onix, but here's where things get interesting. The Hitmon Pokemon actually have really good special defense, and in fact, Aerial Ace does more damage than Surf does. Also, Sky Uppercut did quite a bit, and now Hitmonlee outspeeds with Mega Kick, and we're at 54. You can see, it gets one shot, although Hitmonlee's defense slightly worse than Hitmonchan. Also, that Rock Tomb allowed it to outspeed. Now comes Machamp and... well, if that's not the expression of someone who is shocked to lose to Bruno, I don't know what is. I can tell you guys, I was stunned. A Water-type Pokemon losing to Bruno in Gen 1 mechanics? Unthinkable. But this ain't Gen 1. We've been talking about it. And Feraligatr did not measure up at all. I mean, really, I don't even know what I'd do differently. All right, time for Bruno Tuno. And we're still at level 60. Surf. Okay, so this part, easy peasy. And now Hitmonchan. I go for Aerial Ace, but it's not enough to knock it out. Rock Tomb has a 20% chance to miss, but we're going to be outsped by Hitmonlee. And actually, we're outsped by Hitmonchan even. It goes for the Sky Uppercut. This is exactly what happened last time. And then Hitmonlee, oh, this time it misses with Mega Kick. All right, that actually might be enough for us to win because, oh, Scary Face is fine. And Cross Chop, all right, now it outspeeds. I probably should have gone for Surf there. It's going for full restore. Surf doesn't knock it out. Oh, God. I can't believe I'm 0 for 2 versus Bruno. Holy. Yeah. Wow. In my third attempt, I win, but I actually get lucky. Like the last time, Mega Kick misses, which is only a 25% chance. And this time, Machamp goes for Rock Tomb as opposed to Scary Face or Cross Chop. And with a very smart combination of Surf and then Aerial Ace, I'm able to knock it out. Then Onix gets a crit and almost knocks me out. So things aren't looking great. Now I'm going to equip the Citrus Berry. I only have one of them for Agatha. I also probably need to restore some Rock Slide power points. But you can see here, there's not a lot. There's a Lepa Berry, but there's just not a lot here for PowerPoint restoration. Again, I would learn some better spots to find ethers and elixirs later, but now we're going to battle Agatha. This Gengar is very trolly, not like what you're used to, and thankfully it doesn't use Double Team and all the annoying stuff. We aren't able to one-shot Golbat, and then it misses with Air Cutter. We're getting some really good luck. It goes for full restore, I go for Surf, and then Surf. That's 2 down. Now out comes Arbok, and Arbok has Intimidate, which is very irritating. It misses with the Screech. Everything is missing right now. Gengar number 2 is far better. It goes for Hypnosis, then Sludge Bomb, then Nightmare, and I lose a quarter of my HP. I wake up, and I am in Torrent range. My Citrus activates, but I get hit, so I'm back in Torrent range and able to knock out Gengar number 2. And then I think the crit may have mattered. I knock out Haunter for another really fluky victory. Now, if you're worried, oh no, J-Rose, this is going to ruin the run, you're going to have just a completely fluky victory against everyone, I don't think you guys are going to have to worry. Gyarados leads and has Intimidate, so already I'm at a big disadvantage, and Rock Slide is going to unfortunately be a 3-hit KO in this instance. I've already lost around 60 HP. Lance heals, I miss with Rock Slide, and then, oh, nice flinch there. Okay, I don't think Lance is going to heal again, but I'm at 85. Aerial Ace knocks it out. Dragonair, I decide to go for Blizzard. Blizzard is 120 base power, but only 70 accuracy. But we hit it there, and we hit it there. Okay, really good. Actually, maybe this will work. Hey, that's 3 for 3. Wait a minute. Maybe I will fluke my way to a victory. Ha! Take that. And then Aerodactyl Ancient Power, no Omni Boost. Okay. This was a very, very quick Elite Four victory. Of course, it matters not at all if I can't get to the champion. I'm going to full restore here. I'm only at level 63. And I guess I'll PowerPoint up Blizzard and wish I had another elixir. This isn't looking great, but what can I really do here? I guess let's just go and see. I'm so used to Gen 1 where I don't even have to think about PowerPoints. Whatever, it shouldn't be a big deal. We've beaten the rival every time easily. Why would this be any different? Well, let me introduce you to our nemesis, Pidgeot. Pidgeot goes for frickin' Sand Attack. I cannot tell you how much this lead-off Sand Attack impacts these battles. But anyway, I have to finish this one. I think you can tell what the result is going to be, but what ends up happening is I'm just not a high enough level. How do I know this? After I knock out Pidgeot, like always, Venusaur comes out next, but we're not able to two-shot it with Aerial Ace. This Venusaur is actually really terrible in that it has Solar Beam, and in theory, I could get Protect or could do something else, but I need to be able to knock it out in 2 hits. Unfortunately, getting back to the champion was a little easier said than done. As you noticed, we got some pretty lucky moments between all the battles. Agatha especially caused a lot of issues. I would learn to use the Lumberry, but with Sludge Bomb and her second Gengar, it got really difficult, and hey, it could just sometimes knock you out, just HP. No like trolly nonsense. Honestly, it frustrates me watching this a little bit, because while I really like the strategy I ended up using for all these battles, I've actually learned even more about Gen 3. It's kind of like my Gen 1 runs, where I don't know if my new strats would make them faster, but definitely cooler, although they may not have worked at all, so I'm not even sure. In this run particularly, I don't think the new strats would really work, because Bruno was too inconsistent. Bruno! And I'm being honest, because the strat I would use would actually make Bruno a lot tougher. Although, thinking about it, maybe I could do something else. I don't know, maybe I could have. But I still wouldn't have been able to win at level 63. I would have had to have leveled up a little bit more. Hindsight's kind of 2020. And when we get to the champion, I'll let you know kind of what I'm thinking about, that I didn't realize at the time may have been an option. But for now, I do think we're just underleveled. We're losing too much. We should at least be making it to the champion. So I did have to level up regardless. But I probably should have leveled up earlier in the Fire Gym, in Giovanni's gym, with quick, high-level trainers, as opposed to having to backtrack through Victory Road. But seriously, I don't think you guys would have believed me if before the run I had told you Bruno was the trainer who would give me the most trouble. It is shocking. I'm watching this back. I literally just did this. I am watching this back, and I'm still in shock just how bad things were versus Bruno. Although, for the record, the strategy I'm thinking of would marginally help versus Bruno, but also could be a problem, so I don't know. It literally took me half an hour to get to a point where Bruno was consistent. And basically, aerial acing Hitmonchan, and actually it's still not consistent. It didn't one-shot it, but that would be the one-shot. Oh, I guess it does inconsistently. Great, it's inconsistently inconsistent. But anyway, whatever. We win pretty easily. We don't have to worry too much about losing too much health. And I'm actually going to skip ahead. You've seen me beat Agatha. Well, actually, we can kind of speed through it. Essentially, equipping Lumberry here is the key. If you equip Lumberry, Agatha goes really easily. Lum is important because it depends on whether you get toxic or confused or put to sleep. One of them's bound to happen, but usually all of them don't. So if more one happens, that's a problem. But in this case, we just got put to sleep and the Lumberry was perfect. And now we're going to go battle Lance. So at level 68, Lance is actually quite a bit easier because now we consistently two-shot Gyarados with Rock Slide, giving us way more leeway for the remaining Pokemon. Dragonair, we want to hit, and we got a hit. We are 4-4-4 with Blizzard, although we did miss to Venusaur, although there was a Sand Attack involved. 5 for 5 at least against Lance, and I don't know what the chances are of 6 for 6, but they're pretty low. We don't get an Omniboost from Ancient Power against us, and we have made it back to the champion. If we can one-shot with Rock Slide, that would be excellent. I don't know if we can. Please, for the love of everything, just don't use Sand Attack. Any other move, literally any other move. Also, I found a Max Elixir. Any other move, I would appreciate. I need you to be a pal here, champ. Be a pal. Just anything but that. Anything but that. Okay, Rock Slide, maybe flinch. No, oh, come on. I mean, it's so stupid. All right, so, okay, Aerial Ace, Rock Slide, that works, that works. Venusaur, all right, Aerial Ace, this has got a two-shot. Citrus, Aerial Ace, not enough. And we put it within overgrow range, meaning it gets a 50% boost to Solar Beam. So yeah, good luck me. Thankfully, as it would turn out, this was the correct level, and we were able to make it right back to the champion, which feels very good. I always like that when it's been a struggle, and then I level up to the correct point. It shows that this strategy at this level is a winner. In this battle versus the champ, I need Sand Attack not to hit. Please don't hit. Oh, it does. Oh my god. All right, so full restore, Aerial Ace. We get a miss. Another Sand Attack. Another miss. Oh, this is just brutal. All right, well, there's no way we're going to win now. We're at level 70. Venusaur, we're going to go. We need to two-shot with Aerial Ace. It looks like this was going to work. By the way, I actually battled one additional Pokemon, so we would level up after Pidgeot. So I did modify it. Aerial Ace, ooh, nice crit. Okay, that works. Aerial Ace can't miss, by the way. We get a miss there. Earthquake, that sucks. Hey, Surf, not bad. Okay, we're actually making some progress here. Gyarados, what are we even going to do? I don't know. Rock Slide. Oh, okay. Actually, that did good. And a flinch, but a miss. Thrash. This could work. Wait, this could work. We just need to hit with Surf and we win. Extreme Speed. Oh my god, we won. I really wonder if my other strat would work. I almost want to try it now to see if I could do it at a lower level. This seemed pretty good. What I was thinking, guys, is there's a move tutor for Substitute. And I think the move we'd have to get rid of is either Aerial Ace or Rock Slide. I think we need Blizzard for Lance, but I wonder because if we're behind a Substitute, Aerial Ace from Pidgeot doesn't do enough. And I really wonder if I could have leveled up less. I also made lots of mistakes. So that 444 level 70, take it with a bit of a grain of salt. All right, guys, future Gyro's here. I was so annoyed by the fact that I saw a better strategy after the fact. I forgot there was a move tutor for Substitute, and while I tried to convince myself maybe it wasn't gonna work, nope, it worked. So the thing with move tutors is, unlike TMs, I have to teach it before I enter the Elite Four. So in the Lorelie battle, I'm not gonna have Brick Break, but it doesn't make a difference. The battle where I made it to the champion the first time, yeah, there's a little bit of inconsistency with Rock Slide missing, but with Substitute, because their moves do such little damage, you're actually absurdly safe. You see, you can almost always set up a Substitute on the first Pokemon, and yeah, if I had leftovers, it would be even better, but that would take time. I can just Substitute. I can't believe I missed this. Against Bruno, Substitute just nullifies the entire risk. The reason we were losing was because of Rock Tomb lowering our speed. But when you're behind a Substitute, Rock Tomb doesn't lower your speed. And therefore, I can beat Bruno easily. Or not sometimes. Yeah, I still can lose to Bruno, so the strategy isn't perfect. Perhaps leveling up a little bit, but I was, as you can see now, 2 for 3. Agatha, oh my god, does Substitute make things easy. We're so worried about status, we have Lumberry plus Substitute. The first Gengar barely attacks. Golbat's moves do very little damage. It is a little iffy. I'll admit it is a little iffy. In this battle right here, I got really nervous that Gengar was going to knock me out with Sludge Bomb, but it actually went for Hypnosis, missed, and then Lumberry. So Substitute plus Lumberry, and we outsped Haunter. Again, this was a little iffy, but I actually didn't lose to Agatha. I did, however, lose to Lance once, because against Dragonite, I got a double Blizzard miss. So when we teach Blizzard, we have the option to remove Rock Slide or Aerial Ace. The only option really, in my opinion, is Aerial Ace, because Blizzard will hit Venusaur, and since Venusaur only has Solar Beam, it counters it exceptionally well. Sorry I'm not showing the entire battles. I've already showed victories a few times, and the strategy with Substitute isn't fundamentally different, but the strategy versus the champ is. We go for Substitute, hope for Sand Attack, we get Aerial Ace, that's fine. I go for Rock Slide, and then Sand Attack. AI, for some reason, does not know how Substitute works, and this is just a thing. I'm not trying to exploit that. I simply don't want to get hit by Sand Attack. Now, this is where I get lucky. Blizzard crits, but as you can tell, I'm going to win the battle, so I don't care. I then go for Surf. I actually mess up here. I should have gone back behind Substitute for Rhydon or Alakazam, because now I'm going to be hit by Intimidate, which I don't want. And in fact, it made this battle absurdly close. I was worried I'd be KO'd by Extreme Speed, but our K9 didn't go for it, meaning it wouldn't have KO'd, and that crit did not matter. We were actually able to win at a significantly lower level, and with, in my opinion, a much more indicative of this run 401 time. So that is the time and level we're going to be going with. I know what you're thinking, J-Rose, isn't the whole point supposed to be the first time? But I reset from the first time I made the Elite Four. I just didn't remember Substitute was I don't know why I overlooked it. There's so many tutor moves and so many are unavailable. It just didn't cross my mind until, well, the fourth run. And Substitute is slow. If I can avoid using it, I would, but I think Feraligatr really earned this 401. You could argue that maybe I sped things up too much, it could be a 405, but it really breezed through the entire game. It had a great move pool. This is the run that it should have been, and I'm sorry I forgot about Substitute, but hey, at least I caught it before I released the video. I think I'm just going to release this video on its own. Or maybe not, because who's ready for round 2? Let's get them all done in one video. Let's go ahead and see how Squirtle does at this challenge. Now, Blastoise in terms of moveset is very similar to Feraligatr. There are a few moves it doesn't get, notably Aerial Ace. That was a huge move to deal with grass Pokemon. Blastoise won't have that, so we'll have to rely on Blizzard, which we're not going to get till late, so that's going to be a little bit different. That's going to be a bit annoying. In terms of stats, it's really interesting. Blastoise and Feraligatr have the exact same stat total, but like the evolutions, they also have the same numbers, just rearranged. So for example, Feraligatr had 79 in special attack, Blastoise gets that in HP. Special defense, Feraligatr had 83, and Blastoise has 105 and 83 in attack, which the 105 was for Feraligatr. Kinda cool, huh? Based on these factors, I actually think Feraligatr has a bit of an edge. It has that really good attack stat and slightly better moves. I mean, we have an ever so slightly better special attack. I think that's kind of negligible. But what I think is going to help Blastoise immensely is the fact that it gets Water Gun, or at least Squirtle does, immediately. I could beat Brock right now, but I'm showing you these runs not in an arbitrary order, but in the order I actually completed them. And this is important because I do learn things. And I learned that having a little bit more experience points could save a whole bunch of time. So battling Camper Liam and other trainers, even though they're not mandatory, in Red and Blue, you'd never have to do something like this, but in FireRed LeafGreen, the game's a lot harder. I think it's totally necessary to gain those experience points to make Misty and Rival 2 a little bit easier, because they are going to be a little bit annoying for my Squirtle. That said, as we save in front of Brock and go to battle him, we are about 15-ish minutes ahead of Feraligatr. So can I hold on to this lead for the rest of the run? Is Feraligatr going to start making up ground? I don't know, but Brock was really easy. Misty, on the other hand, might be a little bit more difficult. We have Wartortle, and Staryu outspeeds. This is not surprising, but I have Bite. And Bite is able to knock out Staryu even after Harden. I go for Bite against Starmie, and it's going to be a 3-shot. Swift doesn't do very much. Misty does heal with the Super Potion, which is annoying, but I don't actually know if I have enough HP. No, just not enough. So we may have to level up a little bit more. I'll try one more time. But this is exactly what I was talking to you guys about. A little bit more experience can go a long way. So we have -7 going into Starmie. I'm going to go for, oh no, Mega Punch missed. And Mega Kick doesn't do that much more than Bite. All right, this was a brutal mistake. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, because I didn't put it within healing range. Well, the miss sucked, but hey, we don't ask how, we ask if, and we did win. That means we're going to have access to Water Pulse for the Rival 2 battle, which is going to help us a lot. And we did that fairly quickly, which is also really nice. So Rival 2, we need to avoid Sand Attack. That's always the play here. Mega Kick, Gust is perfect, and we can even go for Bite. I have to conserve power points, because if I don't have to heal on Nugget Bridge, That'd be nice. Bite. Leech Seed kind of sucks. I might be able to Mega Kick. Oh, yes, I can. I don't know if it would have one-shot, but that's all right. Bite here, and now we're going to knock out Rattata easily. Wartortle is actually doing a really, really great job here. And this is kind of an interesting thing. Bite is not a move you really would think about being too great. Bite is also fascinating. It is the only move in Pokemon to go from physical to special back to physical. Moves have changed, but only Bite has changed twice. Being normal in Gen 1, thus physical, dark in Gen 2, thus special, and then when the physical special split occurred in Gen 4, it was a physical dark move. Truly cool stuff. And Wartortle's actually doing really well. I don't know if it's going to be able to knock out Lieutenant Surge like Croconaw did. That's certainly a way that Feraligatr can make up a little bit of time on Blastoise, but thus far it has been exceptionally good. Now, there are a couple things I didn't mention in the Feraligatr run, and this is a good time to mention them. One of them is I reset 4 good stats and nature. They will never be perfect, and the reason I bring that up now is conceivably we could go catch a Meowth and try to get Hidden Power. In runs where I care about time or rankings, Hidden Power is banned, and I've talked about this before, but essentially because I'm not manipulating my starter in any way, just resetting, but what Hidden Power you get can make a huge, huge difference, as you're going to see with the Grass and Fire starters. If only we had like a Hidden Power Ice, it would have been amazing. And I just like the runs to be somewhat repeatable. And for that reason, we do have to ban certain things. And Hidden Power is one of those things we have to ban, or else everything just becomes incredibly lucky. And sadly for that reason, I also have to ban any Pokemon with pickup, or at least taking items off them. Because in games where you can get rare candies or very useful items, it just comes down to a very unlikely dice roll, and you can save several minutes in some case. And I just think that's not fair or interesting. So those are additional rules I have to put in place. Man, Gen 1 was a lot easier, eh? Alrighty, so Rival 3, I hope Mega Kick will one-shot, and I think that crit may have mattered. But that means no Sand Attack. Mega Kick, oh, well that may, oh my gosh. Two 75% hits and crits. That is some crazy good luck right now. I don't really care. We're not going to be able to use Bite too much longer. Wartortle is going to suffer from 4 move syndrome. Basically, I can only use 4 moves, even though there's a bunch I'd like to use. And it's probably why I don't necessarily want to teach Dig here. Now, one other advantage Feraligatr is going to have is we're not anywhere close to evolving into Blastoise. And those extra 6 levels, I know it doesn't sound like much, but it starts taking more and more experience points to level up. And therefore, it might be until Celadon where we're still going to have a Wartortle. With my attack being a lot lower, I do opt to skip Surge for now. Definitely in terms of real time, which isn't what I usually go by, this is a good strategy. Because in real time, I'm likely to struggle and reset a few times. So it's a lot faster if I just make the safe play, go through Rock Tunnel, and then battle Lieutenant Surge. I can't skip him too long, so I want to get Fly, but I can skip him for a little bit. Speaking of skipping, we're ahead to Giovanni 1, and we're still using Wartortle. In fact, I don't even think we're going to have Blastoise after this. Not a problem for the first 2 Pokemon, but for Kangaskhan, we're being outsped. Brick Break actually does pretty decently. It's going to be a 3-shot. That's okay. I mean, it's a little bit slower than I'd like, but still, by the way, still not a Blastoise. And I think we should maybe battle this guy over here on BF1. I normally wouldn't, but I do want to battle Surge next. I actually have to beat 2 guys, but it should be fine. A little bit of extra experience points should actually be helpful ultimately. At this level, even with the type disadvantage, I'm expecting Surge to be a joke. It's funny, I play more Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald than FireRed, LeafGreen, and Water Pulse you get so late, I never use it. But it is doing quite a bit of work. Ooh, nice Confusion, and hit itself in Confusion. Nice speed strat, Blastoise. So as we get to that late early game, early mid-game transition, still makes me laugh, we're doing pretty well. There's actually one thing I do before I consider it the mid-game, and that's getting through the Pokemon Tower. That means we have to beat Rival 4, who's definitely tougher than his red and blue counterpart, but should be pretty easy for Blastoise. So Rival 4 leads with Pidgeotto. I'm expecting a one-shot at this point. I'm gonna go Mega Kick. All right, that's fine. And can a crit? I don't know. I think these are one-shots. Ivysaur comes out. All right, there's the miss. I'm asleep. Razor Leaf, that did nothing. Razor Leaf, that did nothing. Razor Leaf, all right, starting to do something. Mega Kick, okay, it looks like the crit doesn't matter. Now I'm in Torrent range, so I just go for Water Pulse. It goes for Thrash, and yeah, that's okay. I did lose, but ultimately that Mega Kick miss and then the Sleep Powder hit was what caused it. Water Pulse doesn't knock out Pidgeotto. Ooh, a Withdraw. I'm not sure what causes the AI to switch at various points. Not going to complain. It works in my favor every single time. Speaking of things that don't work in my favor, though, Gyarados having Intimidate still really sucks. If only there were a way around it. Yeah, we already did that, but Substitute's available in Fuchsia City, so still can't use that. And frankly, I don't like teaching Substitute until the Elite Four anyway, because it's usually much faster in most battles just to have 4 moves of different types and just beat trainers as quick as possible. Oh, I forgot to use Repel. I'm not being fast. Time loss. Oh, Super Repels. I already bought the Super Repels. Wow, it means I've been walking around a lot. Can you get through? Okay. Anyway, I've been embarrassing myself in the Pokemon Tower. Let's skip a little bit ahead to Fuchsia City. With Surf, I think I could beat Koga right here, right now. I have very good defense, and I'm at level 41. I'm not as under-leveled as I would be if I were playing Red and Blue, mostly because I can't be. And unfortunately, I do put Muck in healing range, and I'm actually running... Oh, I'm running out of moves. I want it to put me in Torrent. It doesn't do that yet. I'm close. 55 out of 130. It's not quite 1/3. But here's a fun little thing I might do. Rain Dance, if I delete Bite, I'm going to do 50% more with all my water moves. We can't badge boost. We can't up our stats. But I can make my water moves more powerful for 5 turns. Sadly, it doesn't make grass moves less powerful. Sunny Day might be even better than Rain Dance. But I think this might be an interesting choice since I don't have Aerial Ace. Maybe we just go for really hard-hitting, torrent-boosted water strats. Don't need that against Koga, obviously. We won. But it's something to think about going forward. And forward we go to Sylph Company to battle Rival Fivel. I'm going to go for Mega Kick. It does about half. Then I go for Rain Dance. And let's try this. Surf. We knock it out. And now Venusaur. All right, let's go Mega Kick. Oh, put me to sleep. No, this is not good. Razor Leaf is now doing quite a bit more. And yeah, this does not work. Now, I could have done that a little bit better. But you know what would make Rival Fivel even easier? Skipping him for now because we did beat Koga and going to battle Blaine in Cinnabar. But truth is, beyond battling Blaine, all the trainers in his gym will give me a ton of experience points and be fairly quick to beat. So in an itemless run, this might be the perfect moment to get that quick and very useful late game XP to push me over the top. So we're going to just battle all those trainers really quickly, and I don't think Blaine's going to be very difficult. He's going to lead with Growlithe, but I might outspeed it. Yep, I do. And I'm already at level 45, so Rival Fivel should be a heck of a lot easier, especially after I beat Ponyta. I level up to 46. And then Rapidash, I actually outspeed that, even though it has the name Rapid in its name. And then Arcanine, I should outspeed too, and I think I still one-shot. Nice. So we beat Blaine before Sabrina and Erica. I actually have to battle Erica. I wonder when I'll remember to do that, because that's even more experience points, although I'm not going to battle the trainers in her gym. As you'd probably predict, I didn't remember Erica, and so went to go battle Rival Fivel. Surf doesn't one-shot. I am going to go for the Rain Dance thing again, see if it works, and then just Brick Break to knock out Pidgeot. Now Venusaur, I'm going to try Mega Kick. Nice. Sleep Powder. You know what? I might need to use the Chesto Berry here. Unless I wake up, no. We're going to have to go Chesto, almost definitely. Okay, that's fine. I have a Chesto Berry, so let's just equip that. But you know what? You know might be even better than a Chesto Berry? I have Blizzard. And yeah, that one-shots Pidgeot. And how much does it do to Venusaur? Almost one-shot, although now Razor Leaf's in Overgrow range. And Rival Fivel doesn't actually have a healing item yet, so I can just knock that out. Gyarados, Blizzard's not affected by Intimidate. Bite, Blizzard. We're getting lucky. We're 3 for 3 with Blizzards. And now I believe it's Growlithe. And what's the last Pokemon that we haven't faced? Alakazam, right. And we actually outspeed. Not bad. Not bad. Blizzard was super useful right now. And I do think this might be our moveset going forward. Blizzard, Brick Break, Rain Dance. Not bad. Very good type coverage. One of the other useful moves for Alligator gets that Blastoise doesn't is Rock Slide, but we don't need it if we use Blizzard and Brick Break. We should be fine. I don't even heal versus Giovanni number 3. I mean, why bother? I one-shot Nidorino. I actually one-shot everything. Nidoqueen, Kangaskhan. Okay, not everything, but almost everything. And I don't need the Master Ball. Why am I going to talk to that guy? So we'll go and collect some items, not nearly as useful as they are in Gen 1, but we'll collect some of them. And now all I have to do is Sabrina, Erica, and Giovanni 3. Blastoise is doing really well. Now, of course, I forget about Erica still, which isn't a big deal. Blastoise, I go for Rain Dance. It goes for Calm Mind. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for the Rain Dance. I thought it would be helpful, although with Calm Mind plus Rain Dance, we're fine. Remember, we have Torrent, not Swift Swim, so our speed isn't being increased. It's literally just a 50% damage increase on our water moves, and I thought it might matter versus Alakazam. I can't tell you whether it did or didn't, but that was easy, so good enough. After realizing I didn't have strength for one of the rare candies, I'm like, oh yeah, Erica's gym, I should go do that now. And of course, I miss with the first Blizzard, which is going to make this battle really long and really tedious. And almost... Oh, wait, I'm going to lose? Oh, okay. Well, I can equip a Cherry Berry. So, yay, we win the next time. Easy peasy. Wow. Can't believe I lost to Erica, man. I can't believe it. I waited till the very end and I still lost. Anyway, I'm going to go grab that rare candy now that I can use strength. But we'll pick it up in Giovanni's gym. I'm not expecting Giovanni to be difficult at all. I could set up Rain Dance. Why? Surf, 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 surf. Yeah. I used to do the Count Von Count thing here, but that was really, really easy. And this is the last time I think things are going to be easy because now we have to face the serious 6. I don't know. We have to really start to focus. So, Rival 6 tends to be really annoying. I like the moveset I have right now. 320 is a really good time. Are we going to be able to, though, beat Rival 6 right now? Let's see. All right, so Rival 6 leads with Pidgeot. Do we still one-shot with Blizzard? Well, we miss. Do we still one-shot with Blizzard? Yes, we do. Now here comes Venusaur. Blizzard is going to two-shot. Oh. Well, that was a lot of RNG to take in at one point. Holy mackerel. All right, let's just do that again. I don't even know how to react to that. All right, nice surf, although crit knocked out Pidgeot. Blizzard, this time no freeze. Growth is perfect, and we don't miss. All right, that's really good. Rhyhorn will knock out with surf. And only thing I'm I wouldn't even say concerned with, but annoyed with is Gyarados. We miss Hydro Pump. See, it's nothing. And, oh, a freeze. So, another miss. All right, let's go for Surf. And, okay, that's fine. And, oh, I got to go Rain Dance here. I think it can heal. I don't remember if it can heal. Doesn't matter. Let's just knock it out with a Rain Dance plus Surf. And now Growlithe will knock out with Surf. And then Alakazam. Don't know if we outspeed. Hey, we still outspeed. Nice. Okay, Rival 6, we did lose, but only once. And look at that. Ledge Boss is quite a bit easier in Generation 3. Okay, so I might battle a few trainers in Victory Road so I don't have to come back. But Blastoise has done unbelievably well. We've barely lost. I mean, we lost to Erica, but we've barely lost. I have been really good, really locked in. I learned from a lot of the mistakes I made during... Okay, well, there's a mistake. I've learned from a lot of the mistakes other than that one. Oh, there's another mistake. So I'm interested to see how Blastoise does against the Elite Four. In a lot of ways, it's very similar to Feraligatr, but with its lower attack stat and Rain Dance, I don't know, maybe it'll be different. Let's see. All right, the first trainer is going to be Lorelei. Now, sadly, I did have to delete Rain Dance to teach Substitute, so no Rain Dance for us. But we have Substitute, Brick Break, Blizzard. We're behind a Substitute, and it will take 2 Brick Breaks to knock out Dugong, but I end up getting a crit. Against Cloyster, remember, it just has Dive. It just is annoying and stally and awful, but we knock it out pretty quickly. Slowbro is one of the scarier Pokemon, just because, there it is. It goes for Amnesia, and with Brick Break and Surf, I can't really do anything. It's actually really, really irritating, and then it's gonna heal. Oh wait, Lorelei already healed. Never mind, it's not gonna heal. I'm wrong. And now I put myself within Torrent range. I want to see how much Brick Break does. All right, it's fine. I knock out Jinx, and now the final Pokemon is Lapras. I'm going to go Brick Break. Interesting. Looking like it could potentially 2-shot. Oh, I don't know why I went for Surf there. That was a misclick. Well, it's going to 3-shot now, but my Substitute holds. Blastoise has really good defense, and we can make it to Bruno. Now, against Bruno, I probably don't need to Substitute, but why not? And truth is, once we're behind a Substitute, I don't think it's going to break the whole time. Maybe once we get far enough, Machamp will break it, but in the end, no. So Bruno is pretty easy. And as we've learned in the Feraligatr run, or at least as I learned in the Venusaur run, which you haven't seen yet, yes, this is again a future Gyarados going back and fixing a run because I forgot Substitute was a thing. You caught me. But you're going to see right now versus Agatha why Substitute is just so good. This is really the battle it makes the biggest difference. This Gengar sucks. It loves to use Toxic. The Golbat likes to use Confuse Ray. I mean, it all just sucks. Once we're behind, it doesn't really matter what this Gengar... I mean, it does. I don't want to miss. I could theoretically run out of power points. But Shadow Punch is really bad. And thankfully, you're not going to have to see it. Golbat, we're going to go for Blizzard. It's going to one-shot. That was just for a little bit of speed. Although, I don't know if Surf would have worked. Surf doesn't one-shot the Arbok and sees Sludge Bomb not enough to knock out my Substitute. This Gengar is the annoying Hypnosis Gengar. Again, thank you, Substitute. And Haunter just sucks. Haunter's the closest to one of Agatha's Gen 1 Pokemon. And again, behind a Substitute. Really good. But it's not just for Agatha where we want to be behind a Substitute. It actually is going to help us versus Lance. I should mention right now, even though this is Gyarados from the future, this is still my first attempt with the Substitute strat. So against Lance, if we go behind a Substitute, the Gyarados is actually kind of awful. It will take 2 hits for it to knock out my Substitute. And at this, oh, well, that's a bad Blizzard miss. But essentially, every time I use Substitute, I am saving between, wow, I'm getting very unlucky. But all right, I'm not going to go behind a Substitute. How do you like that? My Citrus Berry, and now Surf, Hyper Beam misses. All right, that's pretty lucky. Let me go behind a Substitute here. All right, Bite, and Surf will knock it out. But I was saving HP. Now, I think this is just a matter of luck. Blizzard one-shots Dragonair, pretty good. All right, we're 2 for 2. Aerodactyl is going to outspeed. Ooh, it's coming out last. That's really good. It's going to break my Substitute, and we're going to knock it out with a Torrent-boosted Surf. There's Blastoise. Hey, Blastoise. And goodbye, Aerodactyl. So I've made it to the champion for the very first time. And the reason Substitute is so integral, beyond everything, is that annoying Pidgeot. Feather Dance can just end some runs, but we're not going to have to worry here. And Sand Attack can end some runs, but as long as we outspeed, and that was what the extra levels were for, we're fine. And at level 67, we outspeed. Aerial Ace doesn't knock out my Substitute, and so I'm behind it. Venusaur, by the way, just has Solar Beam. It actually goes for Growth, Citrus. That's going to take it out of healing range. So that is probably the game. I'm not going to teach Hydro Pump here just because I can't delete Surf. I actually outspeed Alakazam. I was very good at picking a fast Blastoise, giving it Carbos, and I am going to win this on my first attempt. It actually didn't take many attempts, by the way, with the much inferior strategy, but they were far, far slower and required a much higher level, which is why Substitute is just so great. if you don't use Substitute, you've got to make sure you knock out some things in one hit. And I didn't need to make sure of that at all. Blastoise absolutely benefited the most from the different strategy and went from, I think it was at like a 420 to a nice level and a sub 4-hour time. I don't know if I'm going to do these runs with every Pokemon, but sub 4 seems like a super elite time. Kind of wondering what Mewtwo would do. Mewtwo might be one where I don't want Substitute because it's just so good. But we still have one more Pokemon to do for this video before Mewtwo. You've seen Gen 2, you've seen Gen 1, but the staple of Generation 3 speedruns, even though they use items, is Swampert. And so we're going to use a Pokemon invented for Gen 3, and we're going to use a Pokemon that has a secondary typing that will make grass Pokemon a lot more scary, but it has some really cool moves and strategies we could use. Introducing Mudkip. In terms of its stats, Swampert has slightly higher overall stats, but the distribution is, in theory, really good. As long as we can make sure our Mudkip is decently fast, then we have a Pokemon with a special attack pretty much as high as Blastoise, with an attack higher than anything we've seen before. Other than Bite or Aerial Ace, it has all the moves we've used so far. As I said just a second ago, the big drawback is that it's going to be Water Ground. And that's going to make Razor Leaf way, way, way more scary. And we're going to have to figure out ways to deal with that. Another issue is that Mudkip learns Water Gun earlier than Totodile does, but later than Squirtle. So we're going to have to battle an extra trainer in Viridian Forest. So that even though we'll have Mudslap, but Mudslap is a physical attack and it's not going to be very good. So we're going to want Water Gun for Brock. As you'd expect, with Water Gun, Brock is a complete joke. We're actually at level 12 because we beat the camper in his gym, as per always. We're going to evolve into Marshtomp fairly soon, but in addition to grass moves being a little bit more scary, Misty may be a little bit more problematic because now her water moves are no longer resisted by my Pokemon, but in fact, because of the ground typing, now deal neutral damage, so I may have to beat Misty slightly later. We'll see. I decide to try and see if we can beat Misty. Once again, we get access to Mega Punch and Mega Kick. I go for Mud Shot to see how much it would do, and the nice thing about Mud Shot, I don't know why I went for Mega Kick, I probably didn't need to, but the nice thing about Mud Shot, it lowers speed, but I forgot to equip the Person Berry, so I lose this pretty quickly. Let me go and equip that Person Berry. And so, yeah, we go Mud Shot, and then Mud Shot will knock out Staryu. And then for Starmie, all right, Person Berry, getting some early work. That doesn't do enough. And, oh god, double confusion. All right, well, if I hit, maybe I could win. Nah, I don't. All right, try one more time. Mud Shot, okay, so we are going to need Mega Kick. Recover. All right, let's try Mud Shot again. And that's what I don't want to see. So Mud Shot, no, this is not going to work. I wanted one try where I actually hit a Mega Kick, and so you're going to see that when I do hit the Mega Kick, it's actually really close to knocking out Starmie, but not close enough. So we're going to have to try and battle Rival 2 first. But there's another move we haven't gone to use yet that Marshtomp can learn, and that's Rock Tomb. It's still a 2-shot, which isn't great, and it can miss 20% of the time, which in my case was 50% of the time. Now we absolutely need Mega Kick to hit, and it doesn't knock it out, and then Vine Whip. Uh-oh. So I go Mega Kick now, and Water Gun, and alright, 47, is that enough HP? Mega Kick, Vine Whip, it is not. Look at that face. That is the face of a man who realized he may have messed up. So I battled a bunch of trainers on Route 3 and in Mount Moon, but clearly it wasn't enough. So I'll battle the trainers in Misty's gym. They give pretty good experience points, but I don't know if we're just one level away from winning, and I don't want to use my rare candies here. I'd rather reset the whole run this early on. So far, this is probably the worst start, which is not a good sign. And yeah, there we go. Mega Kick miss, Sand Attack, can't have that. I mean, Mega Kick is slightly less. All right, it doesn't knock it out. And I'm at 41 HP. There's no way. Unless Mega Kick one-shots, Well, it did with a crit. I don't know. No, I can't have that. I mean, that's so lucky. I want a strategy that's going to work. I don't mind going back in the grass or resetting, but it's too run defining if we get a crit right there. You know what I mean? Like, this could be an obstacle. I need to make sure it works. Oh, goes for Leech Seed. All right, never mind. That I'll take. That doesn't... The AI screwing up. Okay, so here's what I think, by the way, is happening there. I think it will always go for a move that it knows has the range to KO. And because I had more health, it wasn't necessarily going to go for Vine Whip. Inconsistent, but probably would take 3 or 4 resets at most to get something like that. That I'm okay with. A crit takes like 20 resets. So I'm not okay with that. I know it's somewhat arbitrary, but I would personally rather reset and battle even more trainers in Mount Moon to make this battle just a little bit easier. That's just the way I personally feel. Thankfully, one more level did the trick, assuming Pidgeotto cooperated, which it did. I'm fine with that battle where we won. After dealing with all the trainers on the way to Bill's house, our Marshtomp is actually at level 25, and Mudshot with a crit one-shot Staryu. The fact to be outsped is great. And then Water Pulse, Mudshot, oh my gosh, it's going to two-shot, but I'm going to make sure and just go for Mega Kick. Excellent. Mudshot, by the way, a really useful move, same type, and it takes advantage of a really good attack. I'm going to teach Water Pulse right away, though, because even though our special attack isn't great, having a little bit more oomph when we need to use our water moves is objectively a good thing. Picking it up on the SSN, we have Rival 3. And now I'm going to go for Rock Tomb. Quick Attack is fine. And Rock Tomb now one-shots. Probably the last I'm going to use that move. Mega Kick doesn't one-shot. I fall asleep. That's a problem because Vine Whip basically knocks me out. All right, well, that was pretty unlucky. Let's try that again. So Rock Tomb is a range. Sand Attack. Yay. Love RNG. Now it's Mudshot. I'll just go for that. Sleep Powder. I could go for Chesto Berry here if it's a real problem. All right, let's try one more time. Once again, Pidgeotto is obnoxious and goes for Sand Attack. I'm going to go for Mudshot here, and... Oh my gosh, it's so consistently going for Sleep Powder. I figured it would just go for Vine Whip. I don't know why it keeps going for Sleep Powder. All right, sorry I was being stubborn. I have the Chesto Berry. All right, this should be the win. Rock Tomb, hey, we got the range. So we have our accuracy at 100%. I'm going to go for Mudshot because it's a two-shot anyway. And of course, now it goes for Leech Seed. Like, what? I equipped the berry. I stubbornly thought, well, it's probably just luck. And now, yeah, this game's obnoxious, man. Like, what the heck was that? Finally, I give in. Oh, God, Kinesis. Why is everything intent on lowering my accuracy in this gosh-forsaken game? Oh, God. Anyway, that was an obnoxious Rival 3 battle. Surge is going to be a joke because he can basically do nothing to a Marshtomp. And beating him earlier will give me useful experience points because the quicker I get Swampert, the better. Swampert's stats are incredible. Okay, so Surge leads with Voltorb, level 29, Mudshot. Ooh, he actually outspeed. That's kind of cool. Pikachu, we still outspeed. And I don't know if we'll one-shot the Raichu, but it's going to be close. And Double Team, please don't miss. Ow. Quick Attack. Hey, and we do one-shot. Nice. Funny enough, after beating Raichu, we just hit level 30, the same thing Croconaw did. So even though they took very different paths, they ended up at the same place at this point in the run, which is pretty cool. But I think the better special attack and the secondary typing may end up having Marshtomp pass for Alligator. I don't know, though. The big question are the grass Pokemon we're going to have to face. You know what? And the speed could be a big problem. Being outsped is really annoying because of how trolly every single Pokemon in this game is. So, like with Blastoise, I want Swampert around this point, so I battled some extra trainers, so I actually do have it for the Giovanni battle, and it proves kind of helpful because it would have been a 3-shot if I didn't get a crit, but it makes it quite a bit faster, at least Kangaskhan. So I'm at level 37. Now I can just escape rope out of here. I don't know why I'm going to the elevator. There you go. Hey, I figured it out. But yeah, I can either go to Erica or Rival 4. Rival 4, you know what? Both are going to be kind of difficult. We'll see. I'm sure you're not shocked I picked Rival 4. I mean, if I can delay Erica, you got to do it. I mean, it's just for the sake. No, it's easier. I mean, Erica's 3 grass Pokemon versus 1. We did pick up Rock Slide from within Rock Tunnel, and that helps. It's more accurate. I'm going to go Mega Kick here. Nice. We one-shot Ivysaur. Okay, this is going to be easy. Gyarados, even with Intimidate, Rock Slide is, almost one-shotting and a flinch. Nice. I'll just go another Rock Slide. I guess I should have gone Water Pulse. Doesn't matter. The double Intimidate really, really stinks. But it's not going to make too big a difference because... why did I go Mega Kick? I didn't mean to. I want to go Mud Shot. All right, well, now just out of principle, I'll go Mega Kick. Of course I hit. But, all right, that was pretty easy. I overestimated the difficulty of Rival 4 there. And so now we can skip Erica for a while. We probably have a really good matchup versus Koga because we are ground type, so the poison moves aren't going to do too much damage. This could be, this is interesting. All right, so we have Surf. Unfortunately, all of Koga's Pokemon, except for Muck, have Levitate, so we won't really be able to take advantage of Mud Shot too much, but we will be able to... Oh, it's still a two-shot versus Muck. Ugh, minimize. All right, that's fine. Yeah, they really helped Koga out immensely by giving Coughing and Wheezing Levitate. We're at level 43, though, so I'm not too worried about the Wheezing. Remember, it can't self-destruct, and I wasn't too worried about Toxic anyway. Easy battle. That will increase our speed by 10%. Badge Boost, by the way, still a thing in FireRed and LeafGreen, but there's no glitch. It's just a straight 10% increase to attack for Brock. Defense for... Wait. Is it defense for Brock? I think they fixed it. Okay, so I looked it up during the voiceover. I know, very professional YouTuber here. But the reason this was so confusing is that the text in Generation 1 is wrong. But I know that you get attack from beating Brock, you get defense from beating Surge, speed from beating Koga, and special from beating Blaine. What they swapped was Koga and Surge. Surge now gives you speed, and Koga now gives you defense. So I was wrong a second ago. By the way, this makes using the traditional damage calculator from Smogon really difficult. Thankfully, someone made a different calculator that incorporates the single-player badge boosts into it. It's called Kingler Calc. And I don't know who you are, Honko, Austin, Chris, or Kingler Champ, but like, I'm going to tell you, when I'm stuck at the Elite Four and I need to figure stuff out, it's really nice to actually get all the right stats. Thank you so much, contributors to Kingler Calc. Moving on, I don't have to battle Rival Fivel here. I decide to try. I one-shot Pidgeot. The crit may matter there, but Venusaur, I go for Mega Kick. Ooh, Sleep Powder misses. Whatever. I'll take it. I'll take it there, whatever. I don't know. I already reset once. If the game's going to hand me W's, I'm just going to take one of them. You had your opportunity. Eventually, Fivel, I'm not going to be giving you the benefit of the doubt. You just suck. Your Pokemon are bad. Boo you. Truth be told, this doesn't actually save any time over just going to battle Blaine first. It honestly would have wasted time if I had to go back and forth, but yeah. Anyway, skipping ahead a little bit, and I do mean a little bit because we have Giovanni number 3, and for Giovanni number 3, I should have actually deleted Mega Kick and kept Brick Break, but you can buy Brick Break. It wasn't too bad. It just was a little bit slower than I would have liked. We didn't use Rain Dance. Remember how useful Rain Dance was? Now it took a few more hits, so slightly slower, still easy. We're going to get Earthquake really soon. I think it's at level 50, if I'm not mistaken, we get Earthquake. So it's going to happen soon, but before then, we're going to go and battle a bunch of trainers in Blaine's gym, and we'll pick it up when I go to battle Blaine. All right, so Blaine leads with Growlithe. We're at level 48, and we're going to just go 1 Surf. Hopefully this should be enough. 2 Surfs. Rapidash, we still outspeed. That's great. And that means we're going to outspeed Arcanine, and everything will be great. Easy, easy victory. Lots of experience points. And now we're going ahead to, look at me, remembering. I'm just kidding. I went to Saffron to battle Sabrina. Sabrina will be a little bit interesting because I can actually use physical moves, but I don't have Earthquake quite yet. I'm going to probably get it right after this battle. So I'm just going for Surf because Surf does a bit more than Mud Shot. Fortunately, it's not enough to one-shot a Mr. Oh, yeah, it was. Oh. Well, that was my bad. Anyway, I won't make that mistake again. I'm going to go Mud Shot. It actually outsped. Oh. Okay, my bad. My bad. My bad. Didn't realize I shouldn't use Surf. Okay, not the biggest deal. Can you imagine one of my starters using Calm Mind? That would be so OP. But all we have left is Erica, and then finally Geo3, who's going to be really easy, and gives me Earthquake, which I'll already have. Anyway, it's 52. I was wrong, so I'm still using Mudshot, but it still one-shots both Victory Bell and Vileplume, and Blizzard one-shots Tangela. I kind of wish I didn't teach Blizzard here for a reason that will become apparent in a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. It's not great. It's not the end of the world. Anyway, we're going to get to Giovanni, and we are actually going to get Earthquake before or during. The ultimate insult to injury. So Surf. I'm just going to use Surf. Surf. I wonder if I should use... Oh, okay, great. So now that we have Earthquake, it's actually better to use versus Nidoqueen and Nidoking. The question is, am I talking to chat or am I paying attention? Hey, I'm paying attention. Great. And then we'll switch back to Surf. I'm sure there's a coding error. Why is this not a Rhydon? I always forget it's not a Rhydon. Why is the final Pokemon of the final gym leader a pre-evolved? It's so ridiculous. I don't get it. It's so weird. But yeah, now we have to go and battle Rival 6. Rival 6 arguably will be tougher for me because it's not Solar Beam, it's Razor Leaf. And, gosh, I would probably have liked Substitute here for that reason. Instead, what we're gonna have to do is, see, Feather Dance, we can't have that. Firebind to Substitute, imagine how easy this would be. So I go Blizzard here. It goes Growth. Actually, we may... see? If we two-shot it, that would have been fine. All right, let's go now. All right, we'll be fine if just no Feather Dance here. Okay, Flinch is perfect. Flinch is actually good. I'm curious how much Earthquake does. How much does Earthquake do? Oh, that's not good. Oh, we survive. Oh. Okay, so this was the last run I didn't know about Substitute. And I used the rare candies early, which isn't actually a problem because Swampert should get through the rest of the Elite Four easily. I actually go for a Flinch there, and we get Growth. Earthquake's gonna knock it out. This isn't the end of the world, but with Substitute, I actually don't know what I would have deleted. That's why I would have liked to have delayed Blizzard, but it really didn't matter. Also, Gyarados, we would have been behind a Substitute likely, so no Intimidate. But ultimately, I don't think it really wasted too much time. I did battle a couple of trainers in the fighting dojo, so that probably wasted a couple of minutes so that when I used my rare candies, I wouldn't be wasting all that experience points because when you use a rare candy, it just gets you to the next level, even if you're just one experience point away. So that really sucks. But what's kind of funny talking about this now is I know full well versus the Elite Four, Substitute actually makes things slower. There's a pretty massive asterisk there, but I'm going to show you the run I did without Substitute first, and then I'll show you why Substitute makes it a little bit slower. But there's some caveats to all this. So without Substitute, you absolutely need Lumberry for Lorelee. I mean, it's mandatory. It also doesn't matter if you use Earthquake or Rock Slide. To Dugong, they do the exact same. Well, not the exact same. Once I beat Lorelee, I'll explain it to you. It's kind of weird and complicated, but also funny. And it's because of the way damage rounding works, but we'll beat Cloyster. Slowbro is way less annoying than most of the other water runs because I can just go Earthquake twice. And then Lapras, I go for Rock Slide because I wanted the Flinch. I forgot to equip the Lumberry. Great. And so, am I going to win? Oh, I win regardless. All right, great. Okay, so as I go and destroy Bruno, and we will use Earthquake because Bruno's Pokemon, as we talked about, yeah, there's the Lumberry. I'll just give myself a Citrus. Why not? Although that's pretty dumb. Why would I do it for Bruno? Man, old Gyros really didn't understand these runs as well as Gyros from a few days later. But yeah, if you use Kingler Calc or Smogon, you'll actually notice that Rock Slide does about 0.5% more depending on your levels. The reason for that is every damage roll, there's 16 potential damage rolls. They are exactly 1 HP of damage more for Rock Slide because of how rounding works. So if you would do, I'm actually going to look at some numbers here. Instead of 268, you would do with Earthquake 267. So they do about the same, but yeah, I felt like I didn't want to mislead you. Anyway, I did not need the Citrus Berry here, which is fine. We knock out easily Bruno's Pokemon, and now I'm going to have to use the Lumberry. Without Substitute, this is really the battle that is the most annoying, other than the Pidgeot, because the Pidgeot sucks. But this Gengar, as we mentioned, also is really bad. Gengar has Levitate, cannot use Earthquake. I'm sure people have been wondering. I should have mentioned it earlier. But I have to go for Surf. It goes for Double Team. And even with 60 speed, we're outspeeding, which is amazing. It shows I got the right nature. I think we're Naive Nature. And then I go for Rock Slide. Not aiming Substitute means we have both Rock Slide and Blizzard, which I thought would have one-shot the Golbat, but doesn't. The only Pokemon I'm kind of worried about is this Gengar. And their Lumberry were not asleep. And, oh, well, that sucks. All right, but we woke up. So that's why you want Substitute. That won't happen. And now Earthquake. Is it going to one-shot anyway? Okay, it does. But we wouldn't be hit by Intimidate. Okay, so now we're going to go and battle Lance. Against Lance, we're going to get hit by Intimidate regardless of whether you have Substitute or not. And we're going to go for Rock Slide. It is a 2-shot. Bite does nothing. Easy peasy. We have Citrus Berry, so that's fine. Aerodactyl is next. It outspeeds, but it does next to nothing with Wing Attack. So that's good. And now we just have to go 3 for 3, and we're perfect. Actually, you know what? We're fine now. In fact, I think... no, Earthquake wouldn't one-shot. Let's see if it does. No. But I was curious. I don't mind. Dragonair's not very good. I mean, it's good at solo runs in Generation 1. Shameless plug to a recent video. That was really quick. The quickest so far making it to the champion. Swampert is spectacular. But will it be able to beat Pidgeot or Venusaur? But more Pidgeot. Well, let's find out. Alrighty. So, big moment of truth. Please one-shot somehow. It's not going to, is it? No. Yep, there's Sand Attack. There it is. And this is why you want Substitute. I go for Earthquake. It goes. I'm going to need Blizzard here. And of course we miss. I mean, why wouldn't we? My next attempt, because remember, not saving between Elite Four members, I make it right back to the champ. And this time we get the flinch, and it's GG. Once you get the flinch, it's over. We're going to go Earthquake here, and then it goes Growth. That means I can go Earthquake, and it goes for Solar Beam as I expected. Can't heal on the charge turn, so that was kind of a free one there. Reflect sucks, and it did outspeed. Full Restore is fine here. I'm just going to go Surf. Does about as much as the Reflect lowered Earthquake, but it's perfectly fine. This should be fairly easy. We're going to knock out Rhydon, and then Gyarados. We go for Rock Slide. Wow, that did nothing. Holy mackerel. Oh yeah, Reflect was still up. I'm like, why did that do so little? All right, we knock out the Gyarados. That's pretty good. Final Pokemon Arcanine. We're not in Torrent range. Wait, I think we are now. I actually don't know. We knock it out. Easy peasy. Level 68. And our final time, 4 minutes flat. But what if we use Substitute? And what if I accounted for all the time I messed up? Well, the biggest difference in this battle is we just go behind Substitute right away. And there we go. The Sand Attack is now no longer a thing. Aerial Ace doesn't knock out my Substitute and it's GG. But Substitute had to take the place of Rock Slide. And for that reason, a couple trainers take a little bit longer. And for that reason, even though this is in theory a bit more of a consistent strat, it actually probably would have saved more time versus Rival 6 than it did for the champion. Here we see pretty much the exact same thing. And in fact, it's a little bit more sketchy because we have to rely on Surf and Blizzard as opposed to Rock Slide. So I'm not really sure what the better play was, the better move was. Overall, when I accounted for the time I lost, the amount of time I saved by using Substitute was, and I'm not kidding about this, 4 in-game minutes. That's it. It cost enough time in the battles that even accounting for all the mistakes, we saved 4 in-game minutes. So let's answer our question. What is the best water Pokemon in FireRed and LeafGreen? They're actually all really similar. However, in my personal opinion, if I had to rank them by how easy it was to use them, I would say number 1 is Swampert. Number 2, because I have to give it a bit of a break for Brock, is Feraligatr. And number 3 is Blastoise. But they are very close. And this isn't surprising. Literally, Feraligatr and Blastoise have the same stats jumbled up. And Marshtomp kind of good in the bad with the ground type and had a bit of a slower time versus Brock too than Squirtle. So I am holding that a little against Squirtle, but truth be told, if we were doing a tier list, they're clearly all in the exact same tier. The 3 water Pokemon are very similar to each other, and if you think Feraligatr was the best or Blastoise the best, let me know in the comments. This is one where I want to know your opinion, genuinely. Because when I did this on stream, I didn't use Substitute. So you guys are the first ones to see these runs in their final perfect form. Most of all, if you like this video because it was really long, let me know and I will release the grass and fire versions. And if you like those, maybe we'll do this in Emerald, but I don't know. I really enjoy Fire and LeafGreen. Heck, we could do Ho-Oh versus Lugia. Lots of fun stuff, but I've yapped long enough. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.